Marcus Jackson strode into the lobby of the Grand Regal Hotel, his polished shoes clicking against marble that gleamed like a promise. At 47, he was a black man who'd clawed his way from nothing to build an empire of luxury. Hotels where the wealthy came to feel like gods. But tonight, as chandeliers cast golden light over velvet chairs, he felt like a ghost. Not the poetic kind, drifting through some existential haze. No, this was raw, real. He stood there, 6'2", breathing, live, and yet invisible. Eyes slid past him, voices hushed around him, as if he were a shadow in his own kingdom. This wasn't just any hotel. It was his crown jewel, a 5-star haven where a single night cost more than most folks' mortgages. Lately, though, the whispers had turned sour. Complaints of cold staff, missing rooms, guests treated like dirt. Marcus could have sent memos, hired consultants, let the machine churn on, but he knew better. Rot like this didn't fix itself. It festered until you ripped it out. So here he was, no suit, no title, just a man with a reservation and a hunch. The air buzzed with wealth, the scent of jasmine and privilege thick around him, but something was off. He felt it in his bones. This place he'd poured his soul into had forgotten who he was. And tonight, Marcus Jackson was damn well going to remind them. He stepped toward the front desk, jaw tight, ready to see just how deep the cracks ran. Marcus Jackson approached the front desk, his broad shoulders squared, a quiet storm brewing in his chest. The lobby hummed with the soft clatter of luggage wheels and the murmur of pampered guests, but his focus narrowed to the woman behind the counter. Sarah. Her name tag glinted under the soft lights, blonde hair pulled into a careless bun, her posture slouched like she'd rather be anywhere else. She was young, mid-20s, maybe, scrolling her phone with a bored flick of her thumb, lips pursed in a way that said, "I don't care," louder than words ever could. Marcus stopped, waiting. Nothing. No glance, no greeting, just the tap-tap of her nails on the screen. He cleared his throat, sharp and deliberate. Still nothing. The air thickened with her indifference. He tapped the counter, once, twice, wood cool under his knuckles. Sarah's eyes didn't budge. "Excuse me," he said, voice low, steady, the kind of tone that demanded attention without begging for it. She let out a sigh, long and dramatic, the kind you'd aim at a child interrupting your day. Slowly she dragged her gaze up, blinking at him like he'd just crawled out of the carpet. "Yeah?" That was it. No, "Welcome to the Grand Regal," no, "How may I assist you, sir?" Just, "Yeah," sharp and flat, dripping with annoyance. Marcus kept his face neutral, though his pulse kicked up a notch. "I have a reservation." Marcus Jackson. Sarah smirked, a tiny twist of her lips, and turned to her computer. Her fingers pecked at the keys like she was doing him a favor. Yeah, nope. Don't see it." She didn't even look at him, just leaned back, phone already creeping back into her hand. He arched a brow, voice calm but edged. "You sure about that?" "Pretty sure," she muttered, eyes on her screen again, dismissing him like a fly she'd swatted away. Marcus felt the heat rise in his neck. Not anger yet, but something close. He'd seen this before, the quick glance, the snap judgment. Too many times in his life folks had sized him up. Black man, no flashy suit, and decided he didn't fit. But this? This was his hotel, his rules. He wasn't about to let it slide. "Check again," he said, firmer now, leaning slightly forward. Sarah rolled her eyes, rolled them, and tapped the keyboard with all the enthusiasm of a kid forced to eat spinach. "Nope. Still nothing. Sorry." She didn't sound sorry. She sounded smug, like she'd won something. Marcus caught the flicker in her expression, the way her mouth twitched. This wasn't a mistake. This was a choice. He pulled out his phone, slow and deliberate, scrolling to his confirmation email. "I've got my booking right here." He held it up, screen bright with the Grand Regal logo, his name in bold. Sarah barely glanced at it, just a flick of her eyes before she shrugged. "Yeah, well, the system doesn't lie." "Neither does my damn email," he shot back, voice still even but carrying a weight that made her blink. Her smirk faltered, just for a second, but she doubled down. "Look, sir," she said, dragging out the "sir" like it was a joke, "maybe you made a mistake. Happens all the time. Maybe you booked the wrong place." She leaned back, crossing her arms, daring him to argue. Marcus tilted his head, studying her. "You saying I'm lost?" She gave him that look, the condescending little smirk people use when they think they're smarter than you. Saying it's an easy mistake to make. He clenched his jaw, inhaling slow and deep. "And if I'm not lost? If my reservation's been here all along?" Sarah shrugged again, lazy and careless. "Then I guess the system glitched." But her eyes wouldn't meet his, darting to the side, and Marcus knew he'd built this system himself. Every line of code, every safeguard. It didn't glitch. People did. And something about the way she avoided him, the way she'd dismissed him from the jump, told him this was personal. She'd taken one look, his skin, his quiet demeanor, and decided he didn't belong in her pristine little world. He'd dealt with this dance before. The silent rules of service. Some folks got smiles, others got shrugs. Usually he let it roll off him. Pick your battles, right? But not here. Not in his house. Marcus slipped his second phone from his pocket, the one with full admin access, and tapped in his credentials. The screen lit up, and there it was. Reservation, Marcus Jackson. Booked. Confirmed. And then, because he couldn't resist, he checked the activity log. Reservation manually deleted. By Sarah, front desk clerk. Bingo. He glanced at her name tag, suppressing a grin. "Sarah," he said, voice smooth as silk. She hummed, still tapping her phone, oblivious. "What happens when you delete a reservation?" She didn't look up. "Oh, it just removes it from the system. No big deal." He nodded, slow and deliberate. "And who can do that?" "Only front desk staff, obviously," she said, finally glancing at him. "Like me." "Why?" Marcus turned his phone around, the log glowing bright, her name in stark black letters. Her eyes flicked to it, and for the first time, she froze. Her fingers stilled, her smirk vanished, and a flush crept up her neck. She stammered, mouth opening and closing like a fish on dry land. He leaned in, voice dropping low, dangerous. "So tell me, Sarah, why'd you delete my reservation?" She swallowed hard, her face paling. Don't, he cut her off, sharp and final. "Don't even try it." Sarah flinched, shrinking back, her bravado crumbling. The lobby seemed to hush around them, guests pausing mid-step, sensing the shift. Marcus stood tall, unyielding, his gaze locked on her. She'd thought she could erase him, of all people, and now she was cornered, her little game exposed. He almost felt bad for her. Almost. But this was just the beginning, and Marcus Jackson wasn't done playing yet. Marcus Jackson stood there, phone still glowing with Sarah's digital confession, the air between them crackling with unspoken stakes. Her eyes darted, searching for an escape, but there was none, not now. He slipped the device back into his pocket, slow and deliberate, letting the silence stretch until it pressed against her like a weight. The Grand Regal's lobby shimmered around them, crystal chandeliers, plush rugs. But all Marcus saw was the rot beneath the shine. Sarah wasn't just a bad apple, she was a symptom, and he was about to dig deeper. He leaned on the counter, voice calm but cutting. "Here's what's gonna happen, Sarah. You're gonna find me a room. Right now." She hesitated, her fingers twitching over the keyboard. Then, with a gulp, she started typing, shaky, unsteady taps that echoed in the stillness. Okay?" she muttered, barely audible. I found one." "Speak up," Marcus said, firm, unrelenting. "I found a room," she repeated, louder but trembling. She grabbed a key card and slid it across the counter, eyes glued to the floor. "Here you go, sir." He didn't touch it. "Which room?" 1427, she said, voice small. Marcus sighed, long and heavy. Room 1427, he knew it well. Tucked by the elevators, next to the maintenance closet, with a view of the dumpster out back. The worst room in his hotel. He'd designed every inch of this place, memorized every flaw. This wasn't a mistake, it was a jab. A petty, spiteful little dig. He tilted his head, staring her down. "Do I look stupid to you, Sarah?" Her face twisted, caught off guard. "No, Then why," he cut in, voice rising just enough to sting, "are you trying to play me like I don't know what you just did?" Dead silence. The lobby held its breath. A couple near the couches glanced over, pretending not to stare. A bellboy froze mid-step, clutching a suitcase. Sarah's mouth opened, but no sound came out. Marcus picked up the key card, slow and deliberate, twirling it between his fingers. "Thanks, Sarah," he said, voice dripping with irony. Then he turned and headed for the elevators, shoulders squared, mind racing. This wasn't over, not by a long shot. The elevator doors slid shut, sealing him in with his thoughts. He punched the button for the 14th floor, the hum of the machinery, a low growl in his ears. Sarah had crossed a line, but she wasn't the only one. A hotel this broken didn't fall apart overnight. Someone had let it fester. He pulled out his laptop the second he hit his room. Dim, cramped, the faint clang of elevators seeping through the walls. Perfect, just as he'd expected. He logged into the Grand Regal's internal system, fingers flying across the keys, staff records, guest complaints, manager reports. The screen filled with data, and Sarah's name popped up like a neon sign. Dismissed a guest complaint without logging it. Guest reported racial bias at check-in. Sarah involved. Refused service, blamed hotel policy, no documentation. Multiple disputes over system errors with reservations. She wasn't just careless, she was venomous. A pattern of disdain, etched in black and white. Marcus leaned back, jaw tight. How had she lasted this long? He scrolled further, and there it was, Daniel Price, the manager. Middle-aged, soft-spoken, a corporate climber with no spine. Complaints about Sarah stretched back months, years, even. But Daniel's notes were all excuses. More training needed, isolated incident, will monitor. Monitor? Marcus snorted. Daniel hadn't monitored a damn thing. He'd buried it, hoping it'd vanish. Big mistake. He closed the laptop, decision made. This wasn't just about Sarah anymore. It was about the whole damn chain of command. Marcus stood, smoothing his shirt, and headed back downstairs. The elevator ride felt like a countdown, each floor ticking off his rising resolve. He wasn't here to patch holes, he was here to tear the rot out by the roots. The lobby was quieter now, guests thinning out, but Sarah still lingered at the desk, chatting with another clerk like nothing had happened. Marcus bypassed her, striding straight for the manager's office. No knock, no pause. He pushed the door open and stepped inside. Daniel Price looked up from his desk, a balding man with nervous eyes, papers scattered like he'd been pretending to work. "Mr. Jackson?" he stammered, voice cracking. What a surprise." Marcus shut the door behind him, the click loud in the small room. He leaned against it, arms crossed. "Cut it, Daniel. We need to talk." Daniel swallowed, sweat beading on his forehead. "Of course. What can I do?" "You know what's happening at your front desk?" Marcus asked, voice low, controlled. Daniel blinked, flustered. Well, I think everything's..." "Wrong answer," Marcus snapped, stepping forward. "I just had my reservation deleted, by Sarah." Daniel's face went pale. What? Who?" "Take a wild guess," Marcus said, a grim smile tugging at his lips. Daniel's mouth worked soundlessly. It was Sarah, wasn't it?" "Ding ding ding," Marcus replied, dry as dust. "And you let her run wild out there. Months of complaints, Daniel, years, and you did nothing." Daniel shrank back, hands fumbling. I thought she just needed training. "I swear, I was going to..." "Training?" Marcus laughed, sharp and bitter. "She's not some rookie who can't find the enter key. She's a problem, your problem, and you sat on it." Daniel looked like he might bolt, but there was nowhere to go. Marcus let the silence hang, heavy and accusing. Then he nodded, slow and final. "Here's how this goes down, Daniel. You're gonna walk out there. You're gonna fire her. Right now. In front of everyone." Daniel's jaw dropped. Right now?" "Right now," Marcus repeated, unyielding. "Move." Daniel hesitated, then nodded, defeated. Marcus followed him out, a shadow at his heels, ready to watch justice unfold. This was his hotel, his empire, and he was taking it back, one reckoning at a time. Marcus Jackson trailed Daniel Price into the Grand Regal's lobby, the air thick with tension, a storm about to break. Daniel's steps faltered, his shoulders hunched like a man marching to his own execution. Marcus stayed close, his presence a quiet command, eyes sharp and unyielding. The chandeliers above cast fractured light across the marble floor, but the elegance felt hollow now, tainted by the mess Daniel had let fester. Sarah stood at the front desk, laughing with another clerk, oblivious to the reckoning bearing down on her. Not for long. Daniel stopped a few feet away, hands trembling. He glanced back at Marcus, pleading with his eyes, but Marcus just nodded. Cold, firm, unrelenting. "Do it," he said, voice low but carrying the weight of an order. Daniel cleared his throat, weak and shaky. "Sarah," he called, barely above a whisper. She turned, mid-laugh, her smirk fading as she clocked Daniel's pale face. "What?" she snapped, tossing her hair like she owned the place. You're fired," Daniel said, louder now, though his voice cracked. Effective immediately. The lobby froze. Sarah's jaw dropped, her eyes widening in disbelief. "What did you just say?" "You heard me," Daniel pressed, gaining a sliver of nerve. "You're done. Pack your things." Sarah laughed, a sharp, brittle sound. "You're joking, right? This is a prank." She looked around, expecting support, but the other clerk stepped back, eyes on the floor. Guests paused, heads turning, whispers rippling through the crowd. "No joke," Daniel said, firmer now, fueled by Marcus's silent pressure. "You deleted a guest's reservation. You've been a problem for months. It's over." Sarah's face twisted, anger flaring. "You can't fire me. I've been here longer than half this staff. Who's gonna run this desk, huh? You?" She jabbed a finger at him, voice rising. "You're a pushover, Daniel. Everyone knows it." Marcus stepped forward, his shadow falling over her. "He's not the one you should worry about," he said, voice smooth, dangerous, cutting through her tirade like a blade. Sarah spun on him, eyes blazing. "And who the hell are you, some nobody with a fake email? Stay out of this." The crowd gasped, a collective intake of breath. Marcus smiled, a slow, lethal curve of his lips. "A nobody, huh?" He pulled out his phone, tapped the screen, and held it up. The Grand Regal logo glowed, his name in bold. Marcus Jackson, CEO and founder. "Does this look fake to you?" Sarah's bravado crumbled, her face draining of color. You're, she stammered, voice shrinking. "Yeah," Marcus said, stepping closer, towering over her. "I'm that Marcus Jackson, the one who built this hotel, the one who owns every brick, every light, every damn key card you've been tossing around like trash. And you thought you could erase me from my own house?" Her mouth opened, but no words came. The lobby was a theater now, guests gaping, staff frozen, a bellboy clutching a cart like it might shield him from the fallout. Sarah's hands shook, her defiance melting into panic. I didn't know," she whispered, barely audible. "You didn't care," Marcus shot back, voice rising, soulful and raw. "You looked at me, saw a black man with no flash, and decided I didn't belong. You've been doing it to guests for months, ignoring them, deleting them, treating my hotel like your personal playground. Well, playtime's over." Daniel shifted, uneasy. "Mr. Jackson, Quiet," Marcus snapped, not breaking eye contact with Sarah. "You're next if you don't step up." He turned back to her, voice dropping to a growl. "You're out, Sarah. Right now. Security's on the way." She flinched, tears welling up. "This isn't fair. I was just..." "Just what?" Marcus cut in, fierce and unyielding. "Just rude? Just lazy? Just picking who gets treated like a human based on your mood? Save it." He nodded to the side where two uniformed guards appeared, summoned by a quick call he'd made upstairs. "Escort her out." Sarah's tears spilled over, but her glare was pure venom. "You'll regret this," she hissed, grabbing her bag as the guards closed in. "Doubt it," Marcus said, calm and final, watching as they led her toward the exit. She threw one last hateful look over her shoulder, heels clicking furiously against the marble, and then she was gone. The doors swung shut behind her, a punctuation mark on her exit. The lobby buzzed, guests whispering, staff scrambling to look busy. Marcus turned to Daniel, who looked like he might faint. "You think this is done?" he asked, voice low, commanding. "It's not. This hotel's a disgrace. I'm shutting it down." Daniel blinked, stunned. "Shutting it?" "Full audit," Marcus said, pulling out his phone again. He dialed corporate, his voice booming as the line connected. "This is Jackson. Close the Grand Regal. Now. Every guest gets compensated. Full refunds. VIP status. Every complaint gets reviewed. Every employee gets vetted. If they can't cut it, they're gone. Start tonight." The staff gasped, a ripple of shock spreading. A young clerk stammered, You're really him?" Marcus pocketed his phone, straightening his jacket. "Yeah, I'm that Marcus Jackson." He let the words hang, heavy and proud, his gaze sweeping the room. "This is my empire, and I'm cleaning house." The crowd stared, awestruck. Daniel swayed, clutching the counter. Marcus turned, heading for the elevators, his voice echoing back. "Get to work. I've got a business to fix." The doors slid open, and he stepped inside, leaving the lobby reeling in his wake. This was his moment, his justice, and he wasn't done yet. Marcus Jackson stepped into the elevator, the doors sliding shut with a soft hiss, sealing off the chaos he'd unleashed below. The Grand Regal's lobby buzzed behind him. Whispers, gasps, the clatter of staff scrambling to catch up. He smirked, a quiet satisfaction settling in his chest. Sarah was gone, her venom purged. Daniel Price teetered on the edge, one wrong move from joining her. But this wasn't just revenge, it was redemption. His empire deserved better, and Marcus was damn well going to deliver. Back in his suite, he poured a drink, the amber liquid glinting in the dim light. His phone buzzed, corporate, the board, Daniel begging for mercy. He ignored them all. Let them sweat. He opened his laptop, logging into the system with swift, sure strokes. First order, Sarah, blacklisted. She'd never set foot in a Jackson hotel again, not as staff, not as a guest. Next, Daniel. Marcus paused, glass in hand. One last chance, maybe. But another slip, and he'd be out, left to manage some roadside motel. Then the guest complaints. Pages of them. Ignored, dismissed, mistreated souls who'd trusted his name. It stung, deep and personal. As a black man who'd fought for every inch of this empire, he knew what it felt like to be unseen. He typed fast. Refunds, comp stays, VIP upgrades. Every single one made right. A knock at the door, Daniel pale and pleading. "Mr. Jackson, I can fix this, I swear." Marcus leaned against the frame, voice steady. "You're done, Daniel. Pack up. This place rotted under you." He shut the door, final as a gavel. Glass raised, he toasted the silence. The Grand Regal would rise again, stronger, prouder, because Marcus Jackson was back, and no one would forget it.